What's up, riders and motorcycle enthusiasts? Today, we're diving into the legendary Kawasaki Ninja ZX-6R, a bike that's become synonymous with razor-sharp handling, heart-pounding power, and that unmistakable ninja styling that turns heads everywhere. From humble beginnings to middleweight domination, this 636cc beast has been redefining what's possible in the Supersport class for decades. Strap in as we rip through the amazing evolution of this iconic machine. The early days? Let's rewind all the way back to 1985. Reagan was president. Back to the Future was in theaters. And Kawasaki was about to change motorcycling forever with the release of the GPZ 600R, known to us North Americans as the Ninja 600. This wasn't just another motorcycle. This was a revolution on two wheels. Before the GPZ, there really wasn't a defined 600cc class like we know today. This pioneer packed a liquid-cooled 592cc inline-four that pumped out 75 horsepower, absolutely mind-blowing for its time. Think about this. The GPZ 600R hit the streets before Honda's CBR 600F series, Yamaha's R6, or Suzuki's GSX R600 even existed. Kawasaki wasn't just entering the middleweight market, they were creating it from scratch. The first ZX-6, 1990. Fast forward to 1990, and Kawasaki unleashes their first true ZX-6, the granddaddy of our modern ZX-6R. And calling this bike impressive would be the understatement of the century. This machine was absolutely groundbreaking. Need proof? How about this? The ZX-6 topped out at 147 miles per hour, while Kawasaki's own 750cc ZX-7 only reached 148 miles per hour. The ZX-6 cranked out a jaw-dropping 100 horsepower, crushing Yamaha's FZR 600 by 9 horsepower and Honda's CBR 600 by 7. But it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. The throttle response was more light switch than throttle. Cycle World blamed excessive driveline lash. The cush drive was so soft that the rear sprocket would turn a full eighth of a revolution before the wheel even moved. Add a 3-stage clutch damper and a snappy engine, and you had a bike that hit hard even when you didn't want it to. Sloppy shifting? Yeah, it had that too. But despite these quirks, the ZX-6 was the undisputed king of its class, pushing what we thought a 600 could do to entirely new levels. The birth of the ZX-6R, 1995. In 1995, Kawasaki stopped playing around and brought out the big guns with the first official ZX-6R. This wasn't just an evolution. This was Kawasaki throwing down the gauntlet to the entire motorcycle industry. Powered by an all-new 599cc engine producing 105 tire-shredding horsepower, the ZX-6R rocketed from 0 to 60 in just 3.6 seconds, with a top speed of 154 miles per hour. It was the first bike in its class to break into the 10-second quarter mile with a blistering 10.89. Sure, the $7,899 price tag wasn't cheap. That's nearly $16,000 in today's money. But you got what you paid for. The undisputed king of middleweight sport bikes with cutting-edge suspension that carved corners like nothing else on the market. Kawasaki engineers went absolutely wild with this engine. On the dyno, it made 8 more horsepower than the previous ZX-6, coming within 0.2 of a second of their own ZX-9R in the quarter mile. That's a 600 nearly matching a 900. Insane. The improvements didn't stop at the engine. They completely redesigned the transmission for buttery smooth shifts, wrapped it all in a new perimeter frame with sharper steering geometry, and topped it off with fully adjustable 41mm forks and a race-spec KYB rear shock. Want to stop? Dual 4-piston calipers on semi-floating rotors had you covered. And they didn't forget the practical stuff. A properly shaped seat, bungee points for your gear, and even storage for a U-lock under the seat. The ZX-6R wasn't just a track weapon, it was a motorcycle you could live with. The G-Series, 1998. By 1998, the competition was heating up, and Kawasaki wasn't about to get left behind. Enter the G-Series ZX-6R, smaller, lighter, and laser-focused on dominating the racetrack. Kawasaki raided their parts bin from the mighty ZX-9R, grabbing suspension and brakes from its bigger brother. The engine got a complete overhaul, coming out lighter and quieter than before. Word on the street was it made around 108 horsepower, though Kawasaki kept the official numbers close to their chest. Even with the same carburetors as before, Kawasaki squeezed every last drop of performance from this platform. They were pushing the boundaries of what was possible with carburetor technology, and the results spoke for themselves on both street and track. The J-Series, 2000. Just when competitors thought they were catching up, Kawasaki dropped the J-Series in 2000 and moved the goalposts again. Somehow, they managed to extract even more power from their screaming inline-four, bumping output to a class-leading 112 brake horsepower. How? Higher compression and an even higher redline. The J-Series also brought back the iconic dual headlight design that Ninja fans had been begging for. Plus, they upgraded to a 180 rear tire, a size still used in the class today over 2 decades later. The electrical system got a complete overhaul with coil-on-plug technology and a beefier generator, delivering more consistent spark and allowing engineers to fine-tune the bike to perfection. But even with all these improvements, by 2002, Kawasaki could feel Honda's legendary F4i breathing down their neck. The competition was closing in, and Kawasaki needed something dramatic to maintain their edge. What they did next shocked the entire industry. The 636cc Revolution, 2002. In 2002, Kawasaki did the unthinkable. They broke the rules. While everyone else was fighting within the 599cc limit, Kawasaki dropped a 636cc bomb on the middleweight class. The best part? They were so proud of this move they slapped 636 stickers right on the side fairings. Talk about a power move. Kawasaki basically said, "Forget your rules, we're playing our own game now." Here's the genius part. For racers who needed to stay within class rules, Kawasaki produced a limited number of 599cc ZX-6Rs. But for street riders who wanted the ultimate middleweight experience, the 636cc was the answer, pumping out 118 brake horsepower, yet another 6 horsepower jump over the previous model. It was a brilliant strategy that let Kawasaki have their cake and eat it too, dominating both the showroom floor and the racetrack. Fuel injection era, 2003. 2003 was a game-changer for the ZX-6R. Still rocking the 636cc displacement, Kawasaki finally ditched the carburetors for state-of-the-art fuel injection. They also raised the redline another 500 RPM, squeezing out even more power from the already potent package. The upgrades didn't stop there. Inverted forks replaced the conventional units. The chassis got stiffer yet lighter, and an all-new digital dash brought the ZX-6R firmly into the 21st century. One of the coolest innovations? The ram air intake moved to the center of the headlight and ran directly through the headstock. Talk about engineering brilliance. All these changes pushed top speed to a mind-bending 163 miles per hour, faster than many open-class bikes from just a few years earlier. Power boost, 2005. Just when you thought the ZX-6R couldn't get any more insane, the 2005 model landed like a nuclear bomb in the middleweight class. Kawasaki cranked the redline up another 1,000 RPM and completely reworked the engine and fueling. The result? A monstrous 131 horsepower at 12,250 RPM. That's power figures that would embarrass open-class bikes from a decade earlier, coming from a 636cc engine. The frame and swing arm were completely redesigned, and Kawasaki gave the bike a fresh new look with a black-painted aluminum frame and reshaped fairings. The exhaust moved under the tail, giving the bike that signature mid-2000 Supersport profile that defined an era of motorcycle design. Back to 599cc, 2007. 2007 brought sad news for fans of the 636. Kawasaki shelved their Rebel middleweight and returned to the 599cc formula to focus on racing homologation. But don't think for a second this was a step backward. The new engine was a clean sheet design rebuilt from the crankcase up. In fact, almost nothing carried over from the previous model. The frame, swing arm, suspension, brakes, and body were all brand new. It was less an update and more a completely new motorcycle wearing a familiar name. Weight reduction, 2009. For 2009, Kawasaki put the ZX-6R on a serious diet. They claimed a whopping 22-pound weight reduction, practically unheard of in motorcycle development where engineers usually fight over grams, not pounds. Much of this came from the new side-mounted exhaust replacing the undertail system. Not only did it look aggressively modern, but it centralized mass and shed serious weight. The biggest upgrade? Showa big piston front forks. Technology straight from the MotoGP paddock, now available to everyday riders. These revolutionary forks offered better feedback, improved damping, and more controlled front-end dive under braking, a game-changer for both track and street. Refinements, 2010. In 2010, Kawasaki focused on refinement, enhancing both the engine and rider experience. They added a much-requested slipper clutch, a godsend for aggressive downshifts that could previously upset the chassis. The exhaust was retuned for a quieter note without sacrificing power, and the bike overall became smoother and more user-friendly. They even lowered the front seat height slightly for better ergonomics. The intake got a complete redesign, boosting power across the entire rev range, more grunt down low and more scream up top. For 3 years, this package remained largely unchanged because, frankly, it was that good. Return of the 636, 2013. Then in 2013, Kawasaki made Supersport fans around the world rejoice. The 636 was back, baby. And this wasn't just a displacement bump. This was a complete overhaul from the ground up. The 636cc engine delivered noticeably more low-end and mid-range torque, exactly where street riders need it most. The look was completely reworked with aggressive new bodywork and a fully redesigned frame. But the biggest news? Electronics finally came to the ZX-6R in a big way. Traction control, selectable power modes, and optional ABS brought the middleweight Ninja firmly into the modern era. Sport, city, and rain modes meant this race-bred monster could now adapt to any riding condition. This bike was so far ahead of the competition that it's almost unfair. To this day, no other manufacturer has dared to challenge Kawasaki's 636cc formula. Breaking the rules never felt or performed. Euro 4 compliance, 2019. After 6 years without major updates, because why fix what isn't broken? Kawasaki finally refreshed the ZX-6R in 2019 to meet Euro 4 emission standards. This update brought some nice toys to the party. A quick shifter for clutchless upshifts, LED headlights that cut through the darkness, updated bodywork for a fresher look, and a revised instrument panel. The downside? Emissions compliance meant horsepower dropped slightly to 127, still class-leading, but a bitter pill for performance purists. The good news? Kawasaki kept the price under $10,000, making it not just the fastest 600 class bike, but also the most affordable. European Market Challenge, 2021. In 2021, stricter Euro 5 emissions regulations forced Kawasaki to pull the ZX-6R from European markets. While American riders could still enjoy the 636's thrills, our European friends were left high and dry. But Kawasaki wasn't about to abandon such a legendary model. The latest generation, 2023. Which brings us to 2023, when Kawasaki unveiled yet another evolution of the ZX-6R. The new model sports a facelift that brings it closer to the flagship ZX-10R in appearance, creating a more unified family look. The biggest update? A gorgeous full-color TFT display with Bluetooth connectivity that links to your smartphone through Kawasaki's Rideology app, bringing modern tech to this track-focused weapon. Most importantly, it's now Euro 5 compliant, meaning our European friends can once again enjoy the ZX-6R. Sure, power drops slightly to 121 horsepower at the top end, but Kawasaki claims they've improved bottom-end grunt to compensate. Sometimes it's not about the peak numbers, but where and how the power is delivered. And that brings us to where we stand today. The Kawasaki Ninja ZX-6R 636 continues to rule the streets with a perfect blend of performance, handling, and value. At just over $11,000 for the non-ABS version, it remains an incredible bargain in today's motorcycle market. From pioneering the 600cc class to breaking rules with the 636 formula, the ZX-6R's journey showcases Kawasaki's unwavering commitment to pushing boundaries. It stands as living proof of why Kawasaki deserves its reputation as one of the most innovative motorcycle manufacturers on the planet. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the Kawasaki Ninja ZX-6R's epic history, smash that like button and hit subscribe for more content like this. Drop a comment letting me know what legendary motorcycle you want me to cover next. Until next time, keep the rubber side down and the throttle hand ready.